Hello everyone, Nick the DM here with another 5e's Forgotten Giants. In this series, we've looked at quite a few giants from earlier editions of D&D, many related closely to the true giants we know from 5th edition, but some have more mysterious origins. Today, we look at one of those mysterious giants, the Eldritch Giant. These giants only appear in Monster Manual 2 from 4th edition and Monster Manual 3 from 3.5, so more than we normally have to go off of for unique creatures like these, and way more than other giants I've covered in previous videos. Eldritch giants have no known relation to Anam the Allfather, the father of all giants, and they don't seem to be an offshoot race of any other true giants. The only origin we have is from 4th edition, the edition where they changed pretty much everything about Dungeons & Dragons lore for pretty much no reason. Rather than being the children of Anam, 4th edition tells us that the giants are a creation of the primordials and created from the energy of the planes. Quote, "Giants are hulking humanoid creatures with fundamental ties to the world, be that bedrock, uncontrollable fires, raging storms, or inevitable death." These giants were massive titans of fire and frost, storm and stone. These giants labored under primordial lords to shape the newly forming world. End quote. The Eldritch Giants are a race of giants heavily imbued with magic. Quote, "Although fashioned from fire, stone, and storm, the primordial's wondrous creation was heavily invested with magic, and the Eldritch Giants aided their primordial lords in the world's formation. Although their powers have ebbed since those days, Eldritch Giants remember their ancient mastery of magic and forever seek to regain it." End quote. 3.5 also agrees that the Eldritch Giants were once powerful masters of magic who have grown weaker over time and seek to restore that balance through their research. And of course, with 5th edition's arrival, not only was the lore changed to more resemble 3rd edition for pretty much everything, but the Eldritch Giants were forgotten altogether. So we have no confirmed origin, but we still have knowledge of who these giants are. Eldritch giants are 25-foot tall humanoids with a strong muscular build and purple-hued skin. Their bodies are covered in arcane symbols tattooed onto nearly every inch of their skin. Eldritch giants weigh close to 13,000 pounds and possess light-colored hair. Their eyes range from blue to green to violet, and they can live to be more than 3,000 years old. They are one of the, if not the smartest giants to ever exist, often living in seclusion, spending countless years finding fragments of arcane knowledge. They are selfish and cruel, using their intellect and resources to find out all they can about the arcane, even dealing with other creatures to further their goals when necessary. While they avoid other creatures as often as they can, their hatred for storm giants knows no match. Seemingly for no reason, but my best guess is that they see themselves as the pinnacle of giant society and are unhappy with the storm giants being at the top of the ordning. Despite their disinterest and hatred towards other creatures, the Eldritch Giants will almost never create conflict with anyone or anything, because they know that it will only distract them from their quest for knowledge. But anyone who should stand in the way of an Eldritch Giant's path should fear their wrath. Rarely will you see an Eldritch Giant who works with others of its own race. This will only happen if all parties share a common goal and work in unison with one another. The 5th edition stats I have created for them are fairly simple, and I'll explain why at the end of this. Eldritch Giant. Huge Giant, neutral evil. Armor class of 18, they don plate mail. They have 253 hit points, or 22 d12 plus 110. And they have a speed of 50 feet. Their ability scores are a 26 strength, 12 dexterity, 21 constitution, 19 intelligence, 13 wisdom, and 15 charisma. They have saving throws in dexterity, constitution, and intelligence. Their skills, they have expertise in arcana, they have proficiency in athletics, history, and perception. They have a dark vision out to a range of 60 feet, and they have a passive perception of 16. They can speak 4 languages, which is very impressive, not only just for giants, but just for any race. They can speak Abyssal, Common, Giant, and Terran. They have a challenge rating of 15 just on average. This will change a little bit depending on what I talk later about. For abilities, they have magic resistance. The Eldritch Giant has advantage on saving throws against spells and other magical effects. And they have innate spellcasting, which is psionics, intelligence based entirely. The Eldritch Giant's innate spellcasting ability is Intelligence, Spell Save, DC 17, plus 9 to hit with spell attacks, and it can innately cast the following spells requiring no material components. At will, it can cast Detect Magic, Dispel Magic, and Magic Missile, all at the lowest level possible. So Dispel Magic, you'd have to still roll for anything you're trying to dispel. Magic Missile, of course, is first level. And 3 times per day each, they can cast Dimension Door and Globe of Invulnerability. Actions, they only have one, is their multi-attack with their longsword, which is a plus 13 to hit, a reach of 10 feet, 1 target, and it either does 3d8 plus 8 slashing damage, or 3d10 plus 8 slashing damage, depending on if it's used with 1 hand or 2 hands. And that is it for their stat block. It's really simple, but this is because Eldritch Giants are masters of the Arcane, so they're very likely to have access to many other spells and items of a magical nature. Even possessing wizard levels and abilities is more common than not. So the likelihood that you're going to encounter the base stat block for an Eldritch Giant is very minimal. This is a baseline for any DMs to go off of to work in whatever magic abilities they may or may not have. Maybe it's one born with more magical capabilities, maybe a half-dragon Eldritch Giant. They have canonically in 5th edition shown a half-giant, half-dragon, half-Etten, half-dragon specifically. Or maybe it's one that has worked more closely with Mind Flayers in its goal for the Arcane, and it has learned more psionic abilities than it currently has. They are very intelligent creatures, so they aren't often going to run directly into the fray. Eldritch Giants in combat generally prefer to prepare any spells or abilities they have in advance to make them stronger before entering combat. So with the basic stat block, as an example, they would normally cast Globe of Invulnerability on themselves from a distance to make sure they can't be picked off by spells or any abilities, any weak ones anyways, and then proceed to attack using Magic Missile. Now, one thing you might notice, and one thing I will always mention when it comes to giants, is this giant does not possess rock. And I don't know if it's because they're too high and mighty to think that they need to use a rock. Look at me, I have Magic Missile. I don't need to roll to hit. I don't need to throw rocks. Well, good news for you, Eldritch Giants. We all forgot about you. Huh? How's that feel? Jokes aside, it is a very intelligent creature, so I understand why it wouldn't use rock. It has an ability that doesn't need to roll to hit. But I'm still fairly ticked about the rock. Everyone needs rock. Rock is the greatest of all abilities. The Eldritch Giants' nature and history make them one of the easiest creatures to modify with magic abilities. Even outside of combat, the Eldritch Giant has a plethora of uses for roleplay. A giant running a hidden library of knowledge, one who trades for knowledge in a bazaar. Or maybe the players need some information of the Arcane, and the only way to get it is by finding an Eldritch Giant. I can only imagine if the Eldritch Giants had an ordning they follow, it would be one of knowledge. And that is, of course, if they were more social. Well, that's it for the Eldritch Giant. I hope you all enjoyed, and if you did, please hit that like button and subscribe for more videos like this. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!